Everybody, welcome back to the Beyond the Peloton podcast. I'm Spencer Martin, author of the Beyond the Peloton newsletter. I'm here, as always, with Andrew Vontz of the Choose the Hard Way podcast, Always the Hard Way newsletter. We are breaking down, not so in depth, but we will discuss the World Championships win from Tadej Pogačar over poor Remco Evenepoel. Stood no chance, as well as a few grab bag topics that Andrew has brought. But Andrew, before we get into that, do you want to plug anything?
Yeah, hop on over to Instagram. Please follow me at HardwayPod. And if you dive into that link tree, which that's like one of the greatest things in life is going to that link tree over there on Instagram, you can find my Substack. Give me a follow. Check out my podcast, Choose the Hard Way. Subscribe, hit 5 stars wherever you listen. And if you're a senior leader who must thrive in high stakes conversations, and if you're a senior leader, you must. Things like podcasts, fireside chats. You want to rock that all hands. Reach out to me. My consultancy, One Real Voice, will help you be world-class in high-stakes, open-ended conversations. You can reach me at HardwayPod on Instagram, the place where all the greats do business. Hit me up on LinkedIn, or you can send me an email at hello@onerealvoice.com. Spencer, I am so excited to see you today, as I am every time we connect. I know we have massive plans heading into 2026, which we can't
We do have massive plans.
We've got some pretty massive. We've got some pretty massive plans. I mean, you thought Banksy was big. You just wait. But today, so many interesting things to talk about. We have Gravel Pidcock. We have hipster Mathieu Van der Poel. I was watching the footage of him destroying Trash Truck Hill in Griffith Park in Los Angeles.
I haven't seen that yet, but I was wondering if he went all out. That's nice to know he did.
I don't know if he went all out. Substantial wattages, long stretches at around 600 or 700 watts. And I don't know who the locals are that were able to hang with him all the way to the top. There were 2 of them. I don't know if they're World Tour level riders or just some kids popping over from the Semi ride. I can just imagine they'll be telling their grandkids about the time. But the hilarious thing, if you watch the video, I've done that climb more than 100 times. And during peak Lance era, that was a climb that Lance would train on when he was in LA as well, or at least he would be over there riding on it at a rate that seemed inhuman. And the funny thing is, in the middle of the climb, it's suddenly there's a sweeping turn, and then you have kind of a false flat, and you've been climbing for probably Van der Poel. I think it was maybe like 4 or 5 minutes at that point. A normal person, 10 minutes. Van der Poel hits it, not knowing that suddenly we're going from a pretty substantial climb to falls flat. Overcooks the corner. There's a dog walker with 2 loose dogs on the other side of the road. It was a real stars, they're just like us moment.
That's unbelievable. I wish I was on that ride. That's my specialty, just showing up. I've been tapering for a month. They don't know it. There's Alex Howes. Oh, you're on Wednesday Morning Velo. Oh, sorry, I'm gonna win this Jersey Preem up Lee Hill. That's my peak performance, is ambushing a World Tour professional on a group ride. So I'm glad to see that tradition is still happening. Andrew, on your business plug, I don't want to spend too much time with this, but I was at like an event for, let's just call them like Grand Tour winners of, let's say, the corporate world. And I was struck at how eloquent and well-spoken the people were. And it was, oh, wow, if you want to be successful, it probably helps to speak well and stuff. Yeah, that I cannot recommend your service enough, because if you want to get ahead, you got to speak well. That's my advice for the day. But you know what the weird thing about this Van der Poel thing in LA? It's great that he's in LA. I think he's out there. Canyon Bikes is probably, it's some sort of Canyon Bikes marketing.
Do you think it's Canyon or Zwift? We can probably find out with a few text messages.
I have like an internet friend, an Instagram friend that works for Canyon, and he was guiding Van der Poel around. So that makes me think it's potentially Canyon integration. Whatever it is, it's great. The weird thing about it is, I don't know if you noticed, the World Championships just happened, and Mathieu Van der Poel and Wout van Aert were not there. And now, on Sunday, we have the European Championships. You might say, what is this race? What does it matter? It doesn't really matter. It's newish. I don't like it that much. But the start list is Jonas Vingegaard, Remco Evenepoel, Tadej Pogačar, like all lining up the week after Worlds. Still no Van der Poel, still no Wout. Kind of strange, is it not?
It is strange. And I think even stranger is we have Gravel Pidcock about to pop out, as well as Vermeersch, a number of other riders now doing the I didn't hit my goal at the end of the season. I think I'm going to pop over and try to win this gravel world championship stripe, right?
Yeah, but do you know what? I don't think it's in effect this year, but in the future, the UCI will count points gained from, they should just call this the Pidcock rule, from mountain bike, like World Cups and World Championships and gravel events. So in theory, and I don't know if this counts yet or not, so don't quote me on it, but Pidcock's team needs points, Q36.5. I wouldn't be surprised if they're sending them there to get points. I mean, it is, the reason this is happening is the UCI owns a lot of these events, like their World Cups and the gravel races. So they want to entice the bigger stars to go to those races. And that's why they're implementing this kind of strange rule, frankly, where it's a different sport. Why would the points count? But that might be why Pidcock is rolling up to the Gravel World Championships.
It might be. I'm sure there's some rational grounding for his action. And I think this is also one of those I'm going to take the UTV up the mountainside moments for Tom. I think he really just wants another world championship. Like he wants the jersey to hang in the closet.
He needs it. But were you in, to go back to Pidcock, to go back to Worlds, he had a pretty funny comment, I thought, after the World Championships.
Yes.
He had a good race, 10th place at World Championships. That's nothing to scoff at, especially he was in that lead chase group.
Right.
And then blew up because he was going so hard. Pretty good. Tadej Pogačar wins by a minute and a half. That might sound like, ooh, that was kind of close, but that minute and a half, basically, Remco Evenepoel was rotating through with Ben Healy and Mateusz Skelmoza, and Andrew never did a lap faster than him while they were chasing him after he left Isaac Del Toro. That is pretty tough. And then even some of these, I don't know if you've dug into your friend Zach Nur's power numbers on this, but the dude was flying, like absolutely flying on the climbs. When he attacked, he did, and this is at altitude, remember, Mount Kigali, the last 3 minutes of it, he does 600 watts. You know, you might think, well, I can do that, right? I can go out and do that today. But you probably can't do it at 5,000 feet. And then they descend, they go to the next climb, that cobbled climb where Del Toro dropped Ayuso, like 75 seconds, almost 700 watts. Like that is very hard to do. And then I don't think he did a single climb after that under 7 watts per kilo for the rest of the day. Like if you look at Zach's estimates for all the climbs, it's actually shocking. I mean, you call it repeatability, like how, you know, it's like, I'm going to do this attack, I'm going to drop everybody, and then I'm going to like nail my numbers for the next 2 hours on every climb. Like that is really impressive.
Yeah. And Zach's story cited the raw wattage. It was an 8.6 watts per kilogram attack for 3 minutes.
Yeah, at altitude.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And again, just go out and give that a try. Do some watts per kilo math. I think for me, that would be, greater than 700 watts for sure for 3 minutes. That's not happening on planet Earth anytime soon for me. It's just,
I'm not looking at it. Yeah, to be like, almost 800 watts for me.
Yeah. And Spencer, I have the Pidcock quote here. This was one of the most popular things I've ever posted on Instagram. I took the Velon post about this. It's a photo of Pidcock. Hilariously, I'm looking at him in the Team GB jersey. He, of course, has the Shell oil epaulettes. Shell oil, just like no factor these days. The least controversial thing in professional cycling. Pidcock, after the race, said, "The most unenjoyable race of the year. It was so hard. I completely blew. It was survival to the finish. It was absolutely brutal." And my comment was, how many times have you finished a gravel race and said, F this, which I think is pretty much what Tom was saying about that race.
It looked like everyone except Tadej Pogačar felt that way. You know, you rarely see a world championships or just even a race of that level where People just seemed excited to finish. I mean, Tom Pidcock was top 10. He was 10 minutes back. That is a gravel race. That's unbelievable.
Yeah. I do get some questions about, hey, Pog has nuked the field. He's way off the front. You're in ninth place. You're in 15th place. You're 10 minutes back. Why are you even finishing this race?
I mean, it's pride. Have some freaking pride in yourself. I also think you probably have contract bonuses if you get top 10 or world championships. So
yeah,
a little bit of paper coming your way might be a little incentive there. I mean, Tom Pidcock was 10th, same time as Primož Roglič. He did a bike throw for that 10th place. That would tell me there's probably a contract bonus tied to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Bathrooms do not pay for themselves, people. You got to put that new kitchen in. You need the 10th place at World Championships. It's not just about these guys also care, right? Like, they wouldn't be out here riding around if they didn't care. I mean, Keegan Swenson, he went to Worlds in 2020, and he finished, and that's a big deal. To finish World Championships inside the time limit is tough. You know, like 30 people finished this race. That is elite company to be in. But man, so much to talk about. I mean, I do think I don't want to dwell too much on Worlds, because I think Worlds is simple enough to be summed up as Tadej Pogačar is the strongest rider in the world. This course could not have been better for him because it was so hard and not great for chasing. Remco, two things I want to touch on. It's the people let's do the people following Pogačar. Pogačar ramps that pace up. Remco goes backwards like he's in reverse. Juan Ayuso ride on his wheel, and then Isaac Del Toro bridges up. And at that moment, I was thinking, whoa, are these guys going to beat Pogačar? Obviously, that was not the case. That was not going to happen in a million years. But what did you think about that, Andrew? These two, and they're all on the same trade team. That Pogačar, the people to match his acceleration were his teammates and were younger. Are we seeing the future of Tadej Pogačar being beaten in those guys?
Yeah, I read someone somewhere wrote an article about Pog going for 5 more world championships, which is inconceivable. I think for this very reason, we're starting to see the apprentices rise. And is there some chance that they eclipse Pog? Yeah, at some point. I think so. Don't you?
I mean, someone has to. At one point, he will not win every major race. It will happen. The thing that impresses me most about Del Toro, like, I'm just going to sort Tadej Pogačar World Tour one-day races. So he won the tour in 2021 or 2020, right? We all remember that. The thing is, it might sound ridiculous, but a really tough one-day race is almost harder to win than the Tour de France. And you usually have to be older than you do when you win the tour, because it's just the physical load for that amount of time is hard on a body that hasn't raced 250 plus kilometers in 7 hours for many years. But his best one-day result when he won the Tour de France was 12th at Milano-San Remo, and then he's 33rd at World Championships that year. If you remember, that was a really tough World Championships course won by Julian Alaphilippe. And then the next year, he wins Liège-Bastogne-Liège 2021. He was 22 years old at the time. So Isaac Del Toro's 21. That was a super, like, I think he went with him to pole. Like, basically, Del Toro said that. Like, I was helping my buddy out. Still finishes 7th on probably the hardest World Championships course ever. The fact that he's doing that at 21, that's the real deal right there. And then Ayuso is a little bit older. What is he, 23? He finishes 1 spot back in 8th. That was pretty impressive. But Del Toro at 21 doing that tells me, if you had to pick one rider from this field, who's going to usurp Pogačar, my first pick would be nobody. Never going to happen. If I really had to say a name, it would be Del Toro, because of that performance at that age. That's very rare, very impressive. And then I've been resisting this man's hype. Paul Seixas, we don't know how to say it. I hope it's Seixas, but Paul finishes 13th, and he was up there. He was in the mix on Mont Kigali, like, with the best in the world at 18 years old. 18. That is ridiculous. So Paul and Del Toro, I think, would be my two big takeaways, like, of the people to watch in terms of chasing Pogačar from this race.
That sounds about right. And you also have to think with Worlds, as you noted, you have people riding for their country, their trade team alliances, and, putting in the work now is when you're going to get some support from the boss later. So, for example, sitting down looking at that 2026 calendar, Pog's likely to have some say in who gets the scraps, right?
Yeah, and like also who goes to the Tour de France.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, Johan said this wasn't the case, but Pogačar is going to get a bonus from UAE. And you're telling me a little piece of that bonus is not going to find its way via Venmo to Isaac Del Toro? I just don't know if I believe that, because that man was critical to the win.
Yeah, it used to be watches. Weren't watches the thing?
The watches were basically money laundering for sporting fraud. Yes. Yeah. It's like, oh, here's a $500,000 watch that I'm gifting you for no reason.
Yeah. From your friend Alexander. Yeah.
That was straight cash. They should have done a watch. I don't know what those guys were thinking, but
yeah, incredible.
You're right, because when they sit down next year and they're divvying up the pie, Alexander the Great, I think, Del Toro will be looked on pretty favorably, because that was quite the move. That, I don't know if Pogačar needed it, but when Del Toro, he was pulling so hard when they got clear. It was a 15-second gap. You're like, maybe that's manageable. And then Del Toro rips a couple pulls and it goes out to almost a minute immediately. The race is over right there. I do think Del Toro, he's trying to get in camp Pogačar as quickly as possible.
Yeah, he has to be. There's no other way. Spencer, to go in a different direction, just a few updates. We do have Little Sugar, Big Sugar coming up. And in case you're wondering, I wanted to let you know that dinner is included with all Gravel Rave tickets.
Well, that's significant, because I don't know if I would have showed up. I'm not going to this event, but let's pretend we are. And there's a gravel rave. I don't understand. Have you ever finished a gravel race and thought, you know what I want to do? Go to a gravel rave. That's what I feel like doing right now. Or am I just a grump?
Yeah. I don't know. They do have a cash bar, electrifying beats. They've got it all. I want to go down and check out this race. I think it would be a fun one to attend. We haven't confirmed this. It seems like they potentially announced a new course 2 weeks before the event.
Before? And what was the description? It was like dangerous off-camber course. Why would
Yeah, it was highlighting loose off-camber downhill turns. I think I was like, man,
no, thank you.
Yeah, probably my least favorite part of gravel racing. In fact, when I read that line, I don't know if this happened when you were up there with Valtteri Bottas talking about the interiors of your private jets. There was a moment at BWR Kansas, I think on the way back, where we had a downhill right. And if you remember, Spencer, we're going to talk about this race for perpetuity, just so you know. I was actually, I was reflecting this week on the live gatherings of Beyond the Peloton that we've had the past couple of years. We did, of course, have the Tucson training camp at Pace Ranch this year. I was starting to feel this ache in my heart as we approach fall, having not been on a starting line, although you, of course, famously evaded starting SBT, where a pair of 15-year-olds won after Tim Johnson nearly took the win, right?
Good move from Tim there, not pipping the 15-year-olds. Because then if you can say, well, I gave them the win, and you don't look like a bad guy.
Yeah, but going back to BWR Kansas, the gift that keeps giving, it seems that it will never be held again as well. So this was the last dance. I think
got the feeling when you were there as well, thinking this is not coming back.
This is not coming back. I think when the locals are switching the course signage and protesting at the finish, it's a good sign you're not coming back to town. Although, never say never. Look at SBT. I think that they're going to be going back onto the government subsidized ranch land next year, I think. But yeah, so I remember
on that.
I remember it was a very windy day. I remember being spun out in whatever my biggest gear was. We were just absolutely railing it in a pace line. And there's a right-hand turn. I didn't remember, and I didn't have the elevation profile up on my computer screen. So suddenly it's a hard right. Some people, it's a hard right off camber, turns out to be downhill, loose gravel. We're going 30 miles an hour, I'm going to say. And a sequence of 4 or 5 riders can't hold the line and just go straight off the road, straight off the road into a ditch. And they're just bikes cartwheeling everywhere, which I feel like I've seen some version of this in every gravel race I've ever done.
And then throwing just a car coming right at you.
Yeah, and then it's
downhill corner. Oh, is there a car on the side of the road coming right at us? It's a beautiful sport.
It's a Dodge Ram 2500. It's JP, the stable cyclist, is driving it. You're just like, where do I go? Shout out JP. Love you, man.
Driven down from just a cool 15-hour drive to get a start on any gravel race he can find. But he's going to hear that. But he's a loyal listener. But it is this insistence on gravel races to pick the most unpleasant course possible is so annoying. Like, think about Northwest Arkansas. You could have a fantastic course. And you're like, nah, it's got to be off camber, loose, dangerous. That's what gravel's about. It's like, well, let's just have a nice race. What are we doing here, people?
Well, not to keep going on this, I think it was last year. Which World Tour Pro was there? They were out training prior to the race, and they got hit by a UPS truck. Do you remember that?
It was Ivar Slick, was it not? Or was it someone with Ivar Slick?
I can't find the news item.
Just to push us along, the European Continental Championships this weekend range, like Lombardia's next weekend, and that's a monument. This might be the bigger race because all the big boys are here. Hey, why do you think Jonas did not go to Worlds? And then why is he here? And who do you think is going to win? Is it another Pogačar beatdown? And can Remco recover mentally from this? Because this man is on a knife's edge at the moment.
I think that if Remco has one gift, he has a high degree of self-belief. Clearly,
very high,
right?
Yeah.
It's interesting because I think he has an extremely high degree of self-belief coupled with a high degree of self-doubt at times, and his snow globe can be shaken quite easily, as we've seen, and his confidence is not durable and long-lasting. He is the kind of professional athlete who frequently refers to himself in the third person, and can he recover? I think in Remco's mind, he's winning the 2026 Tour de France.
He's the favorite in his mind. I would say I have a little bit of sympathy here because I'm struggling. I have a damaged seat post, but I won't switch the post because I don't want to redo my saddle on the post, if you know what I mean.
I do,
and
yes.
So it's slipping slightly, and it drives you crazy, like insane. And so Remco it's hard to know if his seat post slipped or his saddle tilted down during the race. So one of those two things happened. He gets a new bike. That's fine. That happens. And then the correct bike seat height drives him insane to the point that he stops, pulls over on the side of the road. I don't know if he didn't know this, but when you're in World Championships, Andrew, and you need something, you can't tell anybody because there's no race radios. So let's say you pull over to the side of the road. Nobody knows you've pulled over to the side of the road. It's going to take a long time. Your car might drive right by you. That happens sometimes. And so he pulls over to get a new bike when his bike is perfectly fine. But guess what? His team car had to fix his seat that he just gave to them. So they're like back further than he thinks, waste over a minute getting a new bike, has to get back up, chase back onto the chase group. Race is over at that point. Let's be honest, race is over when it started. How many times has Remco Evenepoel ever matched Tadej Pogačar on a course that hard? It's never happened. But that to me is, I was shocked. I couldn't believe that I mean, you can all sympathize with it, but at a certain point, the bike is the bike. Just keep riding it. What are we doing? I mean, have you ever seen Jonas? Like, Jonas takes bikes from teammates and finishes hard races on them.
Yeah, he'd take one from a kid on the side of the road.
Take a freaking
whatever it
boom
takes.
bike and finish the race with it. Like, To me, that summed up, like in Rudy, where he's like, you summed up your entire sorry ass career in one sentence, where it's just like everything you need to know about Remco's problems was summed up in that like 20-kilometer segment.
And I felt like I was seeing a replay of the incident at the Paris Olympics when Remco had the flat. And to your point,
did he have a flat? Now I'm questioning everything.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have no idea. And the way he responds to it is with a lot of passion, almost like we're going to see this guy. I know he just went to Bora Red Bull, Hansgrohe, whatever they're called in 2026. Almost like he needs to be at a French team to finish his career.
It would be a perfect match, isn't it? But it does, like, the way you handle moments like that is really important in life and sports, because if, like, you know, the Olympics example where he's like so worked up, you can't do that. You got to keep cool. It's not going to work out. Before we go, Andrew, a little bit of news came across our desk. Uijtdebroeks, if people remember, this guy's only 22 years old, but back at the 2022 Vuelta a España, I believe right before we did that, 2023, right before the BWR Kansas, he finishes 8th. He must have been 20 years old or 19 years old even. This guy, he's the next superstar. He's on Bora Hansgrohe. Well, nope, he just leaves Bora because he's like, I want to go race for Visma. Just leaves his contract, goes to a new team. Big scuttlebutt about it. 2 years later, he now is announcing, 2, I would say, disappointing years later, even though he secretly finished the season quite well this year. No one will remember it, but he wins, starts winning races like Tour de l'An, Czech Tour. He's second. He was up there. He was the Belgian rider to make the front group when Remco was dropped. So he finishes the season strong, but he goes to Movistar for 4 years, a 22-year-old Belgian rider leaving a Dutch team. You knew Movistar had a fish on the line. We just didn't know it was Uijtdebroeks.
Yeah, and we still don't know where Carapaz is landing, right? Has he signed anywhere?
No, he's signed with EF next year.
He's back?
And are they still going to complain about how much he makes? Wait, no. He's not signed with EF.
That's what I'm saying. He's out of contract. So where is he going? We're in October. Do we know?
You're right. And they do just complain about how much he gets paid all the time. Richard Carapaz, 26.
All right. While Spencer's looking that up, I'm going to go back to this wreck real fast. So I found it was Ivar Slick. Nicky Terpstra was with him, and they were training in Bentonville for Unbound. So that's what was going on. This was in 2024, and yeah, he had a real bad day. I'm sorry to hear that. I hope he's recovered. But while I was looking for that, Spencer, somehow a video came up in a Reddit thread from the 2025 Barry-Roubaix, another gravel event, and it's video of a local man chainsawing a tree down and felling the tree into the Peloton at the Barry-Roubaix.
You love to see it.
Yeah. And then there's a reference to the local Facebook page being flooded with comments saying racers will poop in your yards and expose themselves. Bringing zero money. I'm going way off base here. There's a Lawrence 10 Dam video with Thomas Decker where they go back to the scene of the restaurant parking lot where they had the famous Zoolander gas station incident where they were changing between the cars and someone called the police on them and they were arrested for allegedly performing sex acts in a parking lot, which is
sex but this person, I don't agree with their tactics, but their thesis is correct. They will poop in your yards. They will expose themselves. Cycling will reduce you to your lowest form of humanity. According to the New York Times, and I hate that the New York Times covers cycling, he is out of contract at the end of the year. Interesting.
Yeah, so where is he going? I think, are they going to have budget to sign him? Because going back to Movistar would be the most fitting end. It's that or he's going to a French team.
A Movistar would be very fitting. And Movistar has Mr. Moneybags team owner,
All right,
co-owner.
I have no evidence of this, and I don't know what the team is going to be called next year. I also could see him going to Israel Premier Tech. I think that's another option.
That is wild to think about.
Right?
You know who else I heard is going there?
Who?
Biniam Girmay.
Okay. Yeah, I could see it.
Bold choice. The man who just aces career choices. Remember when he was like had that breakout year and he could have gone anywhere and he's like, I'm renewing with Intermarché.
Yeah.
And now Intermarché can't pay his green jersey bonus from last year's Tour de France. Oops. Maybe here's the simple math. What's the team with the most money? Go to that team. That's a good career choice, probably. That's what Kevin Vermark is doing. He's reading the wind. He knows where to go. Anything else, Andrew, before?
Yeah.
Carapaz, now I can't stop thinking about this.
We can jump into this deeper next time. I want to reach out to a couple rider agents I know and see if I can find out anything on background that maybe we can talk about in regards to that. Two things we didn't get to today. Ben Healy, holy smokes, what a ride at Worlds. I feel like he's the rider that Tom Pidcock wishes he could become.
That's a good point.
Right? So Ben Healy, I've always been a big fan. I'm really excited. Even though Spencer, again, we didn't get to talk about this, UCI has banned the helmets with ear covers and visors, which I feel like was an edge for Ben Healy for a long time in lowering his CDA. Although now everybody's playing it off like, oh, it wasn't that big of a deal. Why are they taking this away from us? And finally, I want to go deeper on this next time. We did talk a bit about what happens with Remco in the future, and we touched on this a bit last time. I've been thinking a lot about, well, what do you do when you are the best time trialist in the world? And I thought about a couple potential models for this. We talked about Tony Martin last time. The Opiomi sign kind of ended that. I thought about Rohan Dennis, setting aside the horrific events that happened in his family. He's an example of the guy was the best time trialist in the world for a long time. And I think I also thought about Victor Kampenaerts, who was a great time trialist, not the best time trialist in the world. In all instances, the path is you become a super domestique, right? Like that's what you do. You're an engine and you just go and sit on the front for hours at a time.
I guess we should say Victor Kampenaerts did win a road stage at the Tour de France. So,
but he transformed himself to do that.
Same thing with Tony Martin. So both those guys were able to like successfully transform themselves. That was the thing with Rowan Dennis. I was kind of always waiting for. It's like, okay, you're a good time trialist. Now what? And he did have some success. Like he won the GC at the Tour Down Under, the USA Pro Cycling Challenge. We all remember that. Tour of Alberta, but I just kept waiting for him to like break through as a 1 week stage racer or just more of a general road racer. The thing is, I do think as a time trialist, it's a weird life because unless you're a GC rider, it's like, well, okay, what do you do now? Because you can't, it's very hard to just be a time trialist for a decade. Like Kampenaerts, I think saw, I'm never going to be the best. The game is changing. It's not going to work out for me. Stefan Kung's the perfect example of this.
Yeah.
Great time trialist. He's kind of switched to being, he's just a very consistent road racer. He is, what team is he on next year? Now you have me questioning.
Yeah, we don't even know.
He's on Tudor. He's going to Tudor next year, probably to do some domestique work. But, think about Ghana, think about Kung. Those guys are great classics riders. That's also another.
So is Cancellara, of course, famously.
But in modern cycling, you got to be classics. You got to be think about the best teams. They have riders that can win races themselves and are domestiques. You actually very rarely see the pure domestique anymore. I'm not sure why. Maybe a team sat down and said, what if our domestiques also won races? How cool would that be? And that's kind of where the sport is going, which actually makes these time trialists really valuable. Because think if Ghana went to, I don't know, Red Bull, Visma, like he's working in the Tour de France and he's also winning races for you and he's part-time in it in the classics. That's where these guys can really have a second career almost in the Tony Martin mold.
Yeah. Before we go, a shout out to JK. He had a fantastic story about the future of AI training in Escape Collective this week. If you haven't checked that out, give it a read and check out JK's Writing with JK newsletter. And of course,
Did we say
Spencer,
Jonathan? Did we say his name is Jonathan Kaplan?
No, we just call him JK.
JK.
Which
He also
we actually never call him in real life. We call him Jonathan.
In real life, or not, in the same day he published that story, he was also a subject of a New York Times story.
Yeah, looking pensively into the distance.
Very pained and pensive.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it sounds like Jonathan is not going to be able to make the big push on the Katy Trail from Kansas City, Missouri to Columbia that we're exploring in late October or early November. I've started to get some messages from listeners about where they might want us to show up in late 2025, 2026. We'd love to hear from you. Like we said, some big plans in the works. Can't really disclose everything right now, but the G6 is fueled up and we're ready to deploy. So if you have an event or a ride you think we must check out that would really add to our repertoire of stories about seeing cyclists fly off the road in gravel events or drafting F1 racers, we'd like to hear about it. And I'm going to reach out to my bike partner, Lauf. I really would love to get over to Iceland for the Rift or the mountain bike stage race. I think that would be a fun one.
The Katy Trail is on Strava. The segment is 240 miles. Estimated time 77 hours.
We're not doing the full enchilada though.
Lord.
Yeah, we're just going to Columbia, eating a burger. We're going to Shakespeare's Pizza and then getting in a van and going back. And we of course have a soft written commitment from Kip to pull for at least 4 of the 7 hours we think it'll take to complete this ride.
Don't worry, we're only doing the hilly part. The nice flat part to St. Louis, we're not doing that.
It's not that. How hilly is it?
It looks scary, but I mean, it's going to be annoyingly hilly. We're like, what?
Seriously?
Why are we? I mean, Sedalia, tour of Sedalia. You're passing through there. That was some tough racing back in the day.
Really?
I mean, I wouldn't be scared of it, but
yeah. All right. Stop and grab a Goober Burger there in Sedalia, the famous peanut butter hamburgers that Sedalia is known for.
I'll just always remember Sedalia as nighttime crit, great crit. But we're watching. I'm like a mere Cat 5 at the time, and we're watching. I think it was like during the Lance comeback years, and we're standing on the side of the road for the Cat 1 pro race, and someone's like, "So if Lance and Astana was here, like, how do you think they would do?" It's like this big debate about if Lance Armstrong and the Astana team could handle this crit. Someone walked up and was like, "You guys are idiots. They would lap the field. I never want to hear you talk again." And that person probably was right. So shout out Sedalia. I'm sure that race isn't happening anymore, but we'll cruise through on the Katy Trail.
Awesome.
Andrew, anything else before we head out?
It's rock and roll. I'm ready for 2026.
All right. Talk to you soon. Talk to you next week about these European Championships.